Welcome, everyone, to the Yocto Project Summit 2023.11. My name is Trevor Woerner, and I will be the MC for the next couple days in this room, the Nanbield room. We have a pretty exciting lineup for you. There's a lot of talks, a lot of stuff going on. If it's your first Yocto Project Summit virtual, then welcome for the first time. We're very excited to have everyone here. The Yocto Project Summit started off as a dev day. The Linux Foundation runs a whole bunch of conferences throughout the year, in-person conferences in various spots all around the world, North America, Europe, Japan, India, and a lot of them tend to have a certain focus. Some of them are focused on, embedded, in our case, for the Embedded Linux Conference. Some of them are focused on a cloud native or IoT, all those different things. And so over the years, a bunch of us would go to these conferences, and we sort of said, hey, we should have sort of a Yocto themed event as part of the Embedded Linux Conference, since a lot of the Yocto people would obviously be attracted to the Embedded Conference. And so we started putting together what was called a Dev Day. It was a one-day event that would occur after the Embedded Linux Conference. And it mostly consisted of the beginner track and the hands-on track. And that's what we called the Dev Day. And it was very successful, but it was always hard to know which one. Sometimes we would run both the beginner track and the hands-on. Sometimes we would just run one or the other. And we didn't always know which one would get more traction. But the other issue too, of course, is that people would have to actually travel to a certain location and attend the event in order to attend the Dev Day. And then COVID came along. We were getting ready to go to the next Embedded Linux conference, which I believe was Austin, Texas, when COVID hit. And of course, the in-person events all ground to a halt at that point. So we scrambled to put together a virtual version of the Dev Day. And it was quite successful. And what we realized, of course, is that there are people all over the world using Yocto, not just in certain cities. And it appealed to a lot of people to be able to attend this event virtually. So we investigated how to run a hands-on class virtually and not in person, and how to do the beginner track virtually, how to run the whole thing. It was quite a scramble getting the first one going, but this is the 5th event, I think, that we officially are calling the summit, and it's our 6th, like it's whatever this is plus one. So we had that first virtual one, and now we're doing an actual event called the Yocto Project Summit. And we also added the talks as well, because with COVID occurring, that meant that the Embedded Linux conferences weren't occurring. And I felt that there's so much incredible stuff going on in the Yocto project and Open Embedded that we needed a forum, a venue for people to be able to present what they're working on, real world solutions that they found to customer issues, and talk about products maybe that their companies sell, and just have an opportunity for people to share what they're working on. And so we took that initial virtual dev day and added the 2 days of talk. Actually, we were going to do 1 day of talk, but we got so many submissions that we had to do 2 days of talk. And so this is the format that you see now. We've been using this format now for a number of times. Now that we are returning to in-person events, we used to run, so the Linux Foundation used to run 2 embedded Linux conferences a year, one in North America, one in Europe. And so we followed that format with the virtual summits. But now that we're back to in-person events, for the most part, we noticed that having 2 virtual summits was probably a bit too much. The attendance was sort of dropping when we run 2. So we're now playing around with the idea of running 1 a year at this time in the fall. And this is a record-breaking event. The very first one we ran was our highest attendance limit. And then everyone after that sort of dropped down a little fewer, a couple fewer. And then the last one we ran, it bumped up again. And then this one is just like we're at 450 attendees. I think our first one was 420 or so. And the smallest one we had was 260, something like that. So thank you very much. I really enjoy learning how you found out about the summit, and I'm very happy to see so many people here. We're very glad to have you, as I said, and on with the show. The first thing I'd like to do is to thank our sponsors. If it weren't for the ability to provide people with cloud accounts, it would be very hard to run the hands-on. Even back when we had in-person events, we would give people a cloud account in order to do their work. The cloud accounts, first of all, are a lot faster than most people's laptop computers are. People would show up at these events with laptop computers, and trying to set them up to do a Yocto build was just consuming way too much time. And then even after they were set up, they wouldn't really have the horsepower to be able to do a build in a contained amount of time that would make the class worthwhile. So we hit on the idea a long time ago of giving people cloud accounts. And through the years, we've used different providers. And but our current provider is DigitalOcean. They've been absolutely phenomenal in giving us resources to be able to hand out accounts to all our participants, and we're extremely grateful for them for that. And this year, we are using Zoom accounts from AMD and from Wind River. So the room that you're in right now, the Nanbield room, was donated by AMD. And for those doing the hands-on, you will be in the Wind River room, which is Scarthgap. So thank you so much for that to all these 3 companies for their generous support of our event. So as I was mentioning earlier, the format that we have is a 3-day schedule, which is the first day, which is today, which is split into 2 rooms, the beginner's track and the hands-on track. When you registered, you were given an opportunity to choose one or the other or neither. And depending on your level of proficiency and what you're interested in, the beginner track is a fantastic talk that's been given by Bian and Tom for a number of years now. And if you're new to Yocto, if you haven't spent any time or much time with it, the beginner track is an excellent opportunity to give you sort of a high-level overview of what to expect, what it does, how it works, the different components that are involved, what they do, etc., etc. And if you do have a little more proficiency, if you've been using Yocto for a little while, the hands-on track is always very popular as well. In fact, of all the people who signed up for one or the other, I think it's about a 50-50. There's almost the exact same number of people that signed up for the beginner track as signed up for the hands-on classes. And the the hands-on classes, there was a time way back when we would actually hand out real hardware and have people build images and then load them on. We can't do that in a virtual environment, but thanks to the magic of QEMU, we're essentially able to do pretty much everything but have a board. We can build images and then run them virtually. You can use your cloud instance. You will be using your cloud instance, which will be x86 based and building ARM based images and running them as if they were on real hardware. You can interact with them and log into them and tweak them and do all that sort of stuff. The hands-on classes can span a whole range of different topics. One that is often popular is the Dev Day, the Dev Tool hands-on. Dev Tool is an amazing component of the Octo project that allows you to manipulate and work with your recipes in a sort of automated way. And if you're not familiar with it or have a little bit of familiarity, then the Dev Tool class is a lot of fun. We're exceptionally grateful to Conrad this year for having put together a hands-on talk about CIs and how you can do, say, static analysis on your code source to give you a report of how your code looks if it sees, say, you using an uninitialized variable in your code somewhere, then it'll flag that. So it helps bring up the quality of the projects that you're putting together by analyzing the code and all that fun stuff. There's so many amazing ways that people are using the Octo project and a lot of amazing things that you can do. You have all this raw code and you can analyze it and do all sorts of interesting things. And so Conrad has put together this really neat class on how to do that. And then at the end of today's hands-on will be Rudy. A long time ago, Rudy wrote the book on the Octo project. I'm looking at it on my shelf right now. And he will be doing a class on containers and some work that he's doing and demonstrating how to create containers, use containers, have containers in your images, and so on and so forth. If you are in the hands-on class after I'm done here, you will need to drop out of this channel and then click on go to that email you were sent and click onto the Scarth Gap. And then the next 2 days are talks. It's all day talks with a bunch of breaks in between with a whole range of different levels. Some are advanced, some are very beginners. So a lot of exciting talks, a lot of wide range of topics. Really looking forward to it. And at the end of every day, we stop the recording when the day is done, and people are free to sort of hang out for an hour or two and just sort of talk. Some people will show things they're working on. Some people will talk about things not related to the Octo project, but it's a bit of a, it's nothing that we sort of planned originally, but it's just something that sort of has grown organically. We're using a bunch of different platforms, pre-talks for the schedule. The slides are there too. If you go to the schedule and click on an individual talk, hopefully the speakers have uploaded their slides. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a link for the slides if you want to follow along. We're using Zoom for the video. And we have a channel on the Libera IRC server that we're sort of using to coordinate everything. If you don't have an account on Libera, you can click on that link and get a guest account sort of to use temporarily. And at the end of the conference, we'll be updating the eLinux page with the information of the talks and links to the slides and everything. This event's organizing committee consisted of David Reyna, Josef Holzmeier, Megan Knight, and myself. And I'm eternally grateful to the amazing amount of help. It always comes as a surprise to me how much work it is to organize these things. And it just simply wouldn't happen if I had to do everything myself. So thank you so much to everyone for their help. And of course, I have also an amazing team that chips in. Michael Halstead, who does all the cloud stuff. He's the person setting up your accounts and cloning them. The accounts come pre-populated with state and downloads and everything. And he's out on the west coast of North America, and it's like 3 a.m. for him. If I know him, he probably hasn't gone to bed last night. He's probably been up all night cloning accounts. So thank you, Michael, for the amazing work you do, not only with the conference, but running all the infrastructure for Yocto project as well, the build machines and all that sort of stuff. Philip Ballister, I can't imagine a conference without Philip. He's the face of Open Embedded. And he helped out. He goes to all the in-person events, and he helped out with the papers, deciding which ones to accept and not. And last but not least, Peter Johanneken, who has been doing our video post-processing. In the early days, it was me that cut up the videos and posted them to YouTube. And I don't have any sort of video experience, so I basically slapped together a bunch of scripts and sort of made it work. But Peter just showed up and said, hey, I can do that. And so thank you very much, Peter, for all your help there. And then, of course, we couldn't possibly have a summit without all the speakers. Thank you so much for submitting proposals, and we're just enormously, it takes a lot of work to put together the slides and to present, and some people have to get up very early, some people have to stay up late to do this, and so thank you very much. And like I said earlier, the attendees, this is a record-breaking YPS that we've had. Thank you so much for joining us. I really hope that you have an aha moment, a couple of them. I've been using the Yocto project for, probably 8 or 9 years or so, and I still get a lot of those. So that's very, very helpful. It's very, I hope everyone gets to enjoy them as much as I do. And if you're working on something interesting, don't be shy about submitting a paper. Just a couple notes. Please be respectful of everyone. We do have a code of conduct, which we will be adhering to. Virtual conferences are a little easier. Please keep your microphone muted and your camera off. When I set up the Yocto Project Summit, some conferences have hour-long talks and some have lots of short talks. I chose a 30-minute slot for the talks on days one in like the next 2 days. And I did that on purpose. I wanted to make them succinct and not rambling. I wanted the talks to be very focused. And because of that, the speakers only have about 30 minutes or so. And it's often hard to cram sort of a lot of technical stuff into 30 minutes. So I would just ask that you keep your questions to the end. The best thing to do really is to, if you have questions, just throw them in the IRC or in the channel, in the Slack channel. And then people can, and then other people can jump in. Sometimes a lot of the questions are answered by other participants, or when the talk is done, then the speaker could look through the IRC channel or the Zoom chat and answer any questions that still haven't been answered at that point. Of course, if the speaker ends early, then sure enough, you're free to go ahead and ask your questions then. And then if all goes well, then the videos will be posted when they get processed. You probably didn't know, but we actually have a swag shop as part of the Yocto project. And so if you're interested in hats, hoodies, backpacks, polo shirts, what have you, then make your way over there. Proceeds go back into the project itself to help run the build servers and infrastructure and pay for various developers to work on specific things. So I would like to talk, so the Yocto Project Summit is this 3-day event that you're in now. on Friday, we have something called the Open Embedded Developers Meeting. And this is another add-on that traditionally came out of the Embedded Linux conference. And it would happen the day before the conference. And it's basically, it's a one-day event where all the developers would get together and discuss certain architectural things. It's a way to have sort of a face-to-face discussion about more core sort of topics. It's not an event to say, hey, my build doesn't work. It's more of an event of, hey, I want to add this feature, but to add it, we'd have to modify bitbake, and that would be a huge modification. What does everyone think about that? So it's more of that sort of event. It is happening this year, as it has after every virtual YPS. And there's a link down there where you can submit ideas and, if things you want to talk about. It's free. The Zoom for that is donated by the Automotive Grade Linux. And if you're interested in sort of the core workings, then that might be something you might want to look into. After this is done, after YPS is done, after the Open Embedded Developers meeting is done, that I think is it for scheduled Yocto related events. But looking forward to 2024, there are always a number of interesting things going on. These are all in-person events. And so if you're interested in getting together and meeting with some of the Yocto team, then put these on your calendar and we'll see you there. There are many different ways to get involved, not just coding, but documentation. There's a Bugzilla if you like fixing bugs and perhaps filing a bug or two. Every week, the project has a conference call on Zoom on Tuesdays. And then there's mailing lists, there's social media, there's the IRC channels. IRC is still a very, very significant way of getting in touch with the community and solving issues. Every month, we also have the Open Embedded Happy Hour. You can look at the website for the calendar for the this month's will be tomorrow, so we'll probably just integrate that that'll become a happy hour at the end of tomorrow's stuff. And so that's it for me. Sorry, David, I ran over a little bit, but for those doing the hands-on, please leave this room and go click on the Scarth Gap room, and David will be there, and you can start setting up your accounts, get logged into your online accounts to get ready for your first hands-on event. And for those who are doing the beginner track, just simply stay here, and Bian should be starting that in not too long from now. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the conference, and we'll see you out there. Thanks so much.